Every day, millions of people across East Africa make a simple decision. How will they cook their next meal? But behind that simple decision is a massive international supply chain. Before cooking gas reaches a household, it begins its journey thousands of kilometers away, loaded onto ships crossing the Indian Ocean. But those ships cannot deliver gas anywhere. They need something far more valuable than the gas itself: a gateway. For years, Kenya's LPG market depended on a limited number of coastal entry points. A handful of facilities controlled the infrastructure needed to receive, store, and move imported gas. Now a new player is preparing to open another gateway on the shores of Mombasa. A Tanzanian-backed company has invested billions of shillings into a massive LPG terminal inside Dongo Kundu. And if this project succeeds, it could reshape one of East Africa's most important energy supply chains. Because this is not just a battle over gas, it is a battle over who controls the gateway. To understand why Taifa Gas matters, you first have to understand how energy markets really work. Most people think energy competition is about resource ownership. But in global trade, infrastructure can be just as powerful. Without storage facilities, pipelines, and logistics networks, supply remains vulnerable. Kenya imports the overwhelming majority of its LPG. Every shipment depends on specialized coastal infrastructure. Large vessels arrive carrying thousands of tons of gas, but it must pass through terminals capable of handling it. For years, the system developed around a small number of major facilities. These were essential to the country's energy supply. But concentration creates a strategic reality. When there are fewer gateways, those gateways become extremely valuable. And whoever controls those gateways gains influence over the entire supply chain. For companies operating in Kenya's LPG market, the challenge was never simply finding gas. It was moving it efficiently. A distributor without storage capacity depends on someone who owns it. Dependence creates bargaining power. Limited import infrastructure increased logistical pressure. When vessels cannot access suitable facilities, companies face delays. When supply chains become rigid, costs can rise. This issue became more important as governments pushed for cleaner cooking. Millions still depend on charcoal. Switching to LPG requires more than government policy. It requires reliable supply. It requires affordable distribution and infrastructure capable of supporting a growing market. The question became, could someone build a new gateway? That is where Taifa Gas enters the story. Backed by Tanzanian businessman Rostam Aziz, Taifa Gas began developing one of East Africa's most ambitious LPG infrastructure projects. The location, Dongo Kundu Special Economic Zone in Mombasa. The strategy, build a completely new import and storage hub. The project represents a multi-billion shilling investment designed to create significant additional LPG handling capacity. The planned facility includes thousands of tons of storage capacity, large pressurized storage tanks, and infrastructure designed to receive major LPG vessels directly from international suppliers. But the biggest strategic advantage is not just size, it is location. Dongo Kundu sits next to one of East Africa's most important maritime gateways. It connects directly with Kenya's coastal trade network and the Northern Corridor, the economic artery linking Mombasa with inland markets. For Taifa Gas, this is not simply a Kenyan investment. It is part of a wider regional logistics strategy. The company already operates major LPG infrastructure in Tanzania. Adding Mombasa creates another node in a coastal network stretching across the Indian Ocean. And networks create power. Because when one route experiences disruption, multiple connected routes create flexibility. But here is where the story becomes more complicated. A new terminal does not automatically mean cheaper gas, because controlling the arrival point is only the first battle. The second battle happens after the ship docks. Who controls transportation? Who controls distribution? Who controls the relationship with consumers? Energy markets are not won only at ports. They are won across the entire supply chain. And this is where the competition becomes much bigger than a single terminal. The biggest prize may not even be inside Kenya. It may be hundreds of kilometers inland. East Africa's landlocked economies depend heavily on coastal trade routes. Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. For these countries, every additional logistics cost at the coast eventually travels inland. A more competitive coastal energy market could influence regional supply chains. This is why ports and terminals matter far beyond their physical location. Mombasa is not just a Kenyan port, it is a gateway into a wider economic zone. And whoever strengthens that gateway gains influence over the region's future trade flows. But established players will not simply disappear. Energy markets are built on relationships, distribution networks, contracts, and years of experience. The arrival of Taifa Gas does not guarantee a revolution overnight, but it does create something the market has not had before, a major new competitor. The significance of Dongo Kundu goes beyond LPG. It represents a broader transformation happening across East Africa. The region is entering an era where infrastructure itself has become a form of geopolitical power. Ports, railways, pipelines, energy terminals. The countries and companies that control these gateways will shape how trade moves across the continent. For decades, energy power was often measured by who controlled natural resources. But in the modern economy, another question is becoming just as important. Who controls the routes? Taifa Gas is betting that East Africa's future will depend on more competition, more capacity, and more connected supply chains. Whether that changes prices immediately remains uncertain. But one thing is already clear. A new gateway is opening on Kenya's coastline. And when a gatekeeper gets a competitor, the balance of power begins to shift. The next battles in East Africa may not be fought over oil fields. They may be fought over something less visible, the gateways that control the flow of energy. Subscribe to Horn Times for more deep dives.